Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blackbird. Today I'm sitting down with Mike Fairman, who is the co-founder of Summit for Soldiers. Mike, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. To start off, can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you came up with the idea for Summit for Soldiers?
My background, I spent about 18 years altogether in the military. I did about 11 years active duty through the 90, 80 something to 98, something around there. Came off active duty, and then after 9/11 went back in 2005 till about 2012. So Summit for Soldiers. So a buddy of mine, when we got out of the military active duty the first time, we served together with the president at Bethesda. He'd always been into climbing, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I'm an avid indoorsman, and so I had a moment in my life where I was struggling with some things, and so a buddy of mine in Cincinnati said, "Hey, let's go down to River Gorge," and we went out and did some rappelling and did some hiking and some climbing, and just loved it. I found this newfound thing that I never knew was inside of me, and so I got a hold of Steve, who's the other co-founder at Summit for Soldiers, and said, "Hey, so I'm kind of curious about this climbing thing." So we got a hold of another buddy of ours that got out, and we went out to Colorado and climbed a 14,000-foot mountain out that way, and I was bit. And so our first real mountain was Mount Rainier, which is in Washington. It's our own little Everest, and usually it's something that people kind of work their way up to, and we're like, "Yeah, let's go climb it." And not only let's go climb it in the winter. So it was it just kind of opened up this new area of adventure in exploring. And for me, like it was so new and it was so fresh and it was exciting, and I was learning how to control my fear. Things, I'm terrified of heights, so I'm really not, it's ironic that I'm into mountaineering. But yeah, it was just a really cool thing. So we started an organization called the Mountain Goats, where we would take first timers into the outdoors basically and help them kind of discover what we discovered. So we had this kind of thing going, and found ourselves traveling overseas. Then war breaks out 2001, or we get attacked in 2001, and then we go off to war, and we start to see our friends coming back and struggling with issues, and we start to really take notice of the suicide rate amongst veterans, not really understanding the numbers, but just knowing that it's significant. So we decided let's do something about that. And so we kind of launched Summit for Soldiers just purely as our own personal mission to get out there. We found our climbing and our adventures therapeutic. So why not use it for something positive, like talking about the issues and trying to bring awareness to the issues surrounding post-traumatic stress and veteran suicide and traumatic brain injuries and these things we were just starting to learn about back then. So we actually kind of launched our program in, I think it was 2008. And so from there, I deployed, and when I returned, I started to struggle with a lot of things. 2012, I found myself in a pretty dark place. I lost one of my Marines to suicide. The unit I was with in Iraq, I didn't deploy with them to Iraq in 2005, but we lost 26 people, one of the hardest hit units, especially as a reserve unit. A little different dynamic than active duty, because active duty, you come from somewhere. Reserve unit, you're all from typically the same place. And to give you an idea, there are people we lost that I knew, that my son knew, and so so pretty tight. So that was hard hitting, and so I came back in about the time they deployed, and but then I deployed with them into Afghanistan, and so we got everybody home from Afghanistan. We lost one in our battalion, few injuries, but not as bad as that first deployment, and we started losing people to suicide, and more people to suicide than we had killed in action, and so I lost one of my guys, Bob Wiley, who is from the Dayton area here, and that hit me pretty hard. And that, along with some other things that I started struggling with, my wife at the time, my wife was a doctor, and so we were living in two separate states and commuting back and forth, and so I found myself isolated. You grab the bottle, you start to reminisce on all these things. You've come from this fast-paced environment to a sudden stop, So you have a lot of time to reflect, and then I lose one of my guys. Here I have a suicide awareness campaign going on, and I lose one of my guys out of my platoon that I'm directly involved with, and I took a lot of guilt over that. And so on a dark night, drunk and just determined, I tried to take my life. In 2012. Coming out of that, though, I realized, okay, I've been given this second chance. I didn't reach out for help. I was forced into it. But what am I going to do with it?
Can you tell me a little about, you say climbing is therapeutic. How? Like, how does that process really kind of help you work things out or help veterans work things out?
You know, for me, what I love about it is just like at the mountain goats, it's that separation, it's that isolation, it's that distraction. Some soldiers actually become a little bit different than climbing because most of our people don't want to get out and climb. But the whole point is about getting away from all the distractions that are surrounding us right now. And what I love about climbing for me personally is it's very utilitarian. It's everything serves a purpose. You're out there, you're isolated, you're under your own power. There are consequences to every action, and yet there's so much beyond your control. The weather, the altitude, avalanches, all these different things that are beyond your control that are going to dictate if you're going to have a summit of this mountain. I won't say successful climb because a successful climb is one you come back from.
Yeah.
And but all these things are in place. So we started, when we kind of came up with the concept of Summit for Soldiers, it was like, there's no difference. It's this daily struggle. I came home and my wife is like, why don't you just resign from your job and start Summit for Soldiers as an organization? Because we had our logo online, and we'd put out, and we did everything we could to try and bring people along with us on our climbs, if we could help offset the cost. But we kind of put it out there, hey, download our logo, our flag or whatever, and take it to your high point, take it on your adventure, whatever, and just help us kind of in solidarity talk about these issues. And we noticed there was a Boy Scout group out there in Arkansas, and there was people that would Sharpie our logo onto a piece of paper and take it to their state high point, and all these people all over the place. And we're like, wow, maybe we're onto something here. Our mission, when we talk about isolation, when you look at the ingredients of suicide, you have drugs and alcohol, you have the weapon, you have the issue you're struggling with, and you have isolation. We're the group that's more likely to sit down and have a drink with you. We're not here to try and grab your weapon from you. I cannot fix my own issues, let alone yours. These three things are very controversial, very difficult to approach. Isolation is not. That's the one thing we can focus on. Let's remove the isolation. We all want to be around other people as much as we say we don't as veterans. We're relational people. We want to identify at least with somebody else that understands what we're talking about. And so we thought, why don't we just focus on that? It's just about bringing people together in a place where you're not going to get the do's and don'ts. There's plenty of organizations out there that are good, that can help serve those specific needs. We just wanted to be a place where you could just take a breath and just kind of on your own terms reach out for these organizations. So what we do is we want to know all about the organizations that are out there and surround ourselves with those and get to know the people that are part of those organizations. But we also realize that you got the veteran in the hole over here, and you could have the best resource over here, and they're not going to use that best resource. Doesn't mean anything if they're not going to submit to using it, if they don't decide to use it. And so we kind of approach it with that in manner. So we're here to go down in the hole with you and just get out here and let's just walk this road at your pace. When you're ready, you can. Hopefully we can direct you towards one of those resources, or if we don't know, help you try and discover what those are. But in the meantime, just come hang out and just relax. And it's not just for veterans. It is for for family. It's for it's for those that have lost and Gold Star families, those that have lost to suicide, and
What's a common misconception people have about the struggle with PTS, or something you wish just people who are non-military would understand?
The biggest thing for most people to understand about post-traumatic stress is it's not uncommon. 4 to 5 million Americans struggle each year with post-traumatic stress at some point or some level. 10th leading cause of death. We're pretty concerned about our automobile safety, and but yet here's this thing, and of that, 40,000, 8,000 suicides a year are veterans. Of those 8,000 veteran suicides, 300 to 400 are active duty. more veteran suicides, or I mean more active duty suicides than those killed in action historically since the end of the Vietnam War, including through recent conflicts. So I think what we need to understand is that post-traumatic stress is a mechanism of injury. I've been exposed to something, and this is the result of that. No different than a broken bone, no different than a bullet wound. It's not just something we want our public to understand, it's something we want our soldiers to understand.
Sure.
You get shot, you're plugging the wound, you break a bone, you're getting a cast on it. You've just been in a traumatic experience. Well, get it taken care of, and get it taken care of early on. You look at the person joining the military. I mean, they got the haircut and the T-shirt, and they're gung-ho, yes ma'am, yes sir, before they've even gone off to boot camp. There's a window of opportunity there. And so we have a program called our New Leader Program. So we have two legs to our mission and how we're built. So we've got our Adven-Therapy mission, and then we have our education and awareness. You're telling me 400 to 500 active duty suicides, more than than those killed in action. We're looking at the number of suicides that are out there. So I'm just looking at the stats, right? We spend all of our time training with our weapon systems to keep bullets downrange, right? So we can complete the mission. We spend all of our time training in field medicine so we can patch people up to keep bullets downrange. And then we do a couple of 1-hour courses a year on suicide prevention. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if you're telling me that, looking at the stats, I'm just the dumb guy here, that my most likely cause of death is going to be by my own hand and not the enemy. We got the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
This is an enemy we need to be training for. And while in our talks with military and trying to talk about how do we extrapolate a program here, get like, well, we can't. Well, why? Why can't we treat this like an enemy and train for it and prepare for it? Hey, guess what? Post-traumatic stress, TBI, and exacerbated bipolar or whatever condition you have is going to be an issue when you go to war. In fact, you have the power, as our future leaders, you have the power to eliminate the stigma, promote early detection and treatment. You can still be the bad, tough warrior and take care of yourself and take care of your troops. And so that's kind of really the direction of where we want to go. And we've seen this happen. We have one of our families, Major Crone, who's on our flag. He was a mountaineer, and so his wife, Dawn Crone, sent us all of his climbing gear that kind of lives on through our outings. But she's a school teacher, a high school teacher out in Brownsburg, Indiana, and her kids do a annual fundraiser, 5K fundraiser for her husband, and she allows them to pick the charity, and so we've been the recipient for the past many years. And so it's an opportunity to talk about, kind of get this New Leader Program, going and talk about some of the issues. And last year I get a call out of the blue from Purdue University, and some of the kids that were at that high school had moved on to the ROTC program, the midshipman program at Purdue University, and started the Semper 5K, a 5K suicide awareness up there. So we're seeing second generation.
It's already working, yeah.
And then I just got this huge check from them the other day from another fraternity that's out there that did a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And at the same time, well, everybody likes to tell me like, hey, next week we have this fundraiser. Like, tell me if it's when you find out about it. So they're actually doing another 5K, and so we're starting to see this thing grow legs. And we think this is our window of opportunity of change, especially in this day. And when I went to boot camp, and I challenge anybody else that went to boot camp, what I was taught, I have absolutely no idea if that was a 200-year-old tradition or something somebody thought up the day before. All I know is you taught it to me, and that set the foundation of my military career moving forward. So why not use this as a window of opportunity to plant those seeds? It's going to be hard work. It's going to be harder than climbing Everest and anything like that. But
it'll be worth it.
I think so, yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing about your awesome organization.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. And thank you guys for joining us, and join us again next time for another episode of Blackbird.